So you said in the Discord, because I said about the tariffs and the Fed lowering rates, but there being an issue. If we have conflicting variables, so they can't just say like I'm going to lower rates because the growth is slow, or if they look at inflation, they have to weigh both of those, and they could be conflicting, and make them kind of be like, oh shit, I don't know what to do, because if you have stagflation, how do you address stagflation? Like you said it's similar to the '70s, and Jimmy Carter has stagflation. So right now, number one would be, how do you address stagflation? What do you mean when you say the current environment's like the '70s? And would you still say we're gonna, or would you still have the same evaluation if we did not have the tariffs when you said it's like the '70s?
Yeah, so I guess we'll start with like why it looks like the '70s. Well, it could and it couldn't, right? I think the Federal Reserve is doing a good job right now by not just acting on sentiment surveys and waiting for legitimate data to come out on like, hey, is this price volatility that's going to be caused by tariffs? Is it transitory? Is it going to move on, go away by itself? Are tariffs going to change? Because there's still no clear message on that. There's like three different goalposts that he set, and uh, and if it doesn't, what do we do, right? Because that's stagflation. And what we saw in the '70s in that case was Paul Volcker uh, basically raise rates in an astronomical amount and just plummet the economy into a recession. And that's like kind of like the rock in the hard place that the Fed is stuck between most times is how do we control inflation and keep jobs? The only way we can is to cut growth and cause a recession, and then people lose jobs, and then they have to stimulate and bring those back, right? So I'd say to really know where we are right now, we have to do what the Federal Reserve is doing and just wait for hard, true data to release, and probably not get too scared before then.
Yeah,
The
that's
markets are
tough.
pricing it in, so
Do you think the
if
full effect is being seen in the markets now, or do you think there's still an idea of Trump like pulling them back this week? Do you think there'll be like a bigger dip if it's like realized that he actually implements them and they actually go into effect completely, and it seems like they're not going to stray from it?
Yeah, I think we could see a further dip in the markets because right now I think most estimates for the probability of recession are based on the tariffs are between like 40 and on the high end, JP Morgan just released 60
Yeah, I saw that.
percent. So when you're like pricing in the risk of a potential recession because of these tariffs, you're pricing in only the probability of that outcome, right? So there's not 100% recession is not priced into the market right now. There's no way.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy too, because if you look at how does that I am interested on usually you see like with Ukraine and Russia there was a big dip, with COVID there was a big dip, the housing crisis obviously 2008, recession in like 1987. There was a recession at the beginning of Bush, George W. Bush as well, early 2000s. But typically you see
Yeah.
these kind of fluctuate. I know our market got brought down a little bit in the past few years from like Japan having a big economic issue with their markets, but we were not as affected. But usually we are in line with global markets in some sense. But right now we're seeing our expected growth rate of like 1 or 2% being switched to a is it called degrowth, or what would you consider? What's the term for that when you get smaller? Like
Yeah, yeah, like,
degrowth. Yeah.
you're causing, like, a retraction in
Oh,
GDP?
retraction. I think it's. I meant to say. Yeah, that's what I was looking for. Retraction. But yeah, we see like Europe following the expected trend line, but now America's diverging from the global markets. So does that ever happen to this extent? Because it really is a stark contrast versus 2% growth to like the St. Louis or the Atlanta Fed, I think, released like expected 3.7% decrease now. Does that happen a lot where we're diverging completely from the global markets?
No, and I don't think like, if you consider it, we like, the percentage our GDP that imports really make up in the grand scheme of things isn't huge. What is 13%, um, come from tariffed countries? So, yeah, it would have, like, a marginally large impact. It's kind of, contradictory words there, but, I we don't, like if these stayed on how they're currently applied, possibly. Um, but right, he's like Trump has set three goalposts for this, three like goals of tariffs, and one is One is he wants to use it as negotiating, one is revenues, and one is to reshore manufacturing to the United States. Well, those last two are completely contradictory because you can't have revenues and bring back manufacturing because if all the manufacturing comes back, you don't have any fucking tariff revenues. That being
Oh
said,
yeah,
you do
yeah,
get more
yeah.
taxes here, but we need to like there needs to be like clarity in this if
And the
it's going to be
deficit will be
applied.
crazy too. If we really like the issue with America too that it's hard to say from like raw material standpoint, like you said, the percent of our economy that's like imported goods necessarily because we do a lot of high level and finishing and high skilled manufacturing in America. So like we add more value to input resources from other countries, whether it's lumber or metals or batteries or whatever. We add value to those, and like even with our making cars, we usually do the finishing production like in America or the most expensive or high skill or high paying jobs in America. So the effects of us, um, I mean, there's the effects of that and making input costs higher for businesses, which is why many of businesses just take a loss, especially if you have a policy where the president can kind of do it authoritarianly or just like unilaterally, then a lot of companies will probably just say, well, if we have a 10-year investment coming, we might just decrease spending for a while, especially if this guy can turn this on and off, or decrease it until Congress stands up and does some type of long term policy. So I feel like we could see some of that, but this is really the danger of having just like you know, the point of Congress is it happens slower. It happens more foundationally. It happens with the power of the purse and taxation in Congress. But having a president have this power to turn it on and off and say whatever is a national emergency, it just seems like I don't know what to compare it to because even the race they came up with being built off such a faulty formula and expecting like these poor countries to somehow import the same amount of goods as America does, I just feel like they can't even be the possible goal of this. Like you would never have these standards for literally anything. Like you would never tariff Vietnam at the same rate of China because then you're pushing trade partners to China. Like it just do you think there's any if you had to have a steel man position, um before I take some of the callers who want to argue about diversity being bad for America, do you have any like what is your best representation of what Trump wants to do? If the economic advisors are telling Trump to do this, I know some people said he wants to purposely crash the economy to get interest rates lower, or like to crash it so small businesses fragment and the big fish can buy up. More of the little guys that fall apart. Like that's a theory because every financial crash usually has that consolidation. Or at least like 2008 had that, COVID had that. What is your best interpretation if you had to give it like the best reading? Like this is the best possibility for this working. Like, and they said, and by the way, the White House did say that this is not for negotiations. This is 100% the policy. We're gonna do this, not for negotiations. We're gonna make America great again. They said that this weekend. I mean, they still could say, I made all these deals and
It's a great
do it
thing to say
again,
if
but
you're
like,
negotiating though, because people are
yeah,
like the countries you're negotiating with, they're now like, oh fuck, they're serious. But no, I think the best thing is like in all reality, if he can like look at the promised spending from private companies, like just on the announcements of tariffs, right? You had Apple, TSM, uh, Hyundai, uh, etc. Right. So you see that, and so if you can reshore just like a monochrome, like a small amount of uh, global manufacturing to the United States, and give like good paying jobs to people who otherwise wouldn't be working in like a white collar field, then I do think that you could see a significant increase in the power of the like in the growth of the U.S. economy. You'd have more people making more money, spending more money, exporting more. So it that in general like is not a bad thing. That's a good idea.
yeah. But
Um,
with these rates, right? Like these rates are
is
crippling to the
this
point of recession. So.
is this the way we do it? No. I when I came in your Discord and said like tariffs aren't that bad, I wasn't anticipating this type of tariff. I thought like, oh, it'll be like nuanced. Pick the country, apply like a 54% tariff on China, but don't do it across the board 10% base level on everybody and then also stack on top like some ridiculous rates. Either do 10% all around or pick and choose, right? That's probably a much better, much fairer way to do it. Um, but yeah, that's probably like it. And if he can get like if he can deregulate, so regulation fees on corporations aren't as high, and the tax cuts, you could see like companies be able to spend more to produce here, because their money's not tied up in what's the rate of regulatory costs in America? It's like 1% of GDP since the 1970s, which is crippling when it comes to manufacturing in the United States. So,
Yeah, but the pullbacks
I mean, I'm
from
not saying cut
like
standards,
because
regulatory
the consumer
standards. I'm
base
just
in
saying,
America would die though, so like the economy would also suffer there, and like
well,
I just
if
don't
you
see where
if
the
you
revenue would
reshore
come from.
manufacturing here, if you reshore manufacturing here, and you can also lower that like those regulatory costs without cutting standards, you wouldn't see the consumer base die.
Yeah, but that's a
You'd see
5-year
prices stay
program.
relatively the
Like all the
same.
stuff you're talking about now is not going to be built till 2028, 2029. So even if they
And
like
that's the
they announced
problem.
it now, it's a 5-year. We would die as a country, and that's why it's a big. It's a you can make that
Yeah.
stuff. There's so many other mechanisms. Like there's socialist, there's liberal, there's neoliberal, there's social democrat, there's conservative. There's so many other solutions to this, and that's why you see economists from every background. I thought Thomas Sowell was dead, but he did another video to to say how stupid these are. I'm like, I didn't
Yeah.
even know I didn't even know that guy was alive. I saw Richard Wolff, who's like a literal communist, saying why these are dumb. It's like this is the one issue
Ben
I saw every
Shapiro,
economist talk. Yeah, Ben
not even
Shapiro.
a
Yeah,
not even a not even an economist.
Ted Cruz.
No.
Ted Cruz is going against it now. Rand Paul, and of course, it's a constitutional issue with that, where the president is not supposed to have the powers to do taxation, especially not like this. It's just like there's so many people coming out now against this. It really is really interesting. I think we'll see more people come out if they actually maintain these numbers, but I hate it from
Yeah.
an information standpoint. The idea that so many Americans think that like I don't even know the exact countries, but that some of these countries have like 80% tariffs on us because they did their dumbass calculation. It gives such a false impression of how the world works. And I hate, oh God, I wish we just called it import taxes, because like we're not, like this is the biggest tax increase for working class Americans in probably 100, like in a long time. Like it's the biggest tax increase ever since like the 50s, since we had the really high top marginal rate, if they maintain the current level. So like there's no way, I feel like there's no way they can actually maintain this, because
If they
it'll
lower
kill our
them,
country.
if they
Well, yeah,
lower
how
them,
freaking,
it,
yeah.
it, it might be sustainable, and some of those costs might be offset everywhere else. But I think right now, Apple announced that they'll have to keep their current profitability, they'll have to increase the price of iPhones by 43%. So I hope you guys got an iPhone recently, because upgrading probably won't be a thing.
Oh God, people are going to be paying more in taxes under tariffs if they buy one car. I know that USMCA is exempt, but like a few iPhones in a car, some people are going to pay their entire year of income taxes again. It's just
But
better not have to buy an
chips
HVAC
are
system. HVAC systems are going from like
not
15,000 to like
sure.
22,000, guys. You better watch out. You better watch out, guys. Big tax increases. I just wish I hate the word tariff, bro. Get rid of the word tariff. Import taxes. Say what it is. We're not taxing Canada. We're taxing Americans who want to import these goods. Just so we can all like have a shared base of information to go off of. All right, thank you for calling in.
Yeah,
That's
man.
Dova
Have fun
in
with your stream.
Discord. Ask Dova for any tips on Call of Duty. But yeah, thanks for the information, man. See you.
See you, man.
That guy, I hate that guy. Hope he freaking never calls in again. Okay. I'm gonna call this one guy that called earlier. I'm just kidding. Dova's interesting. We're gonna make Dova vote liberal. Hello, this is
Hello.
the YouTubes.
Hi there. Good evening.
Good evening. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Having
Of
a
course.
bit of trouble sleeping tonight, but I'm glad I caught your show.
Man, I hate sleeping. Sleeping's my least favorite part. I love sleeping, but going to bed, I'm bad at going to bed. Like at nighttime, I'm like, oh crap, I gotta
Right.
perform. Like I'm in game 6 of or game 7 of the finals, buzzer beater. I gotta perform now, but I'm just laying in bed thinking about it. I just can't sleep sometimes, man.
Right. I hear you. I had a traumatic brain injury in the military, and I've had a headache since
You know what?
October 2024.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry that happened. I think my sleep issues came from a traumatic brain injury, because like I was at a baseball camp when I was like 12, and I was running through the gym, and I got smacked inside of the head when someone hit the ball. And I swear to God, my bell was rung
Yeah,
so bad
you
I
probably
couldn't see.
concussed.
I could not see, but I couldn't look like I was injured, so I just walked it off. But I was like, I could not see or hear for like 5 minutes. It was crazy.
Yeah, you
Hit me
you
inside of
probably
the
had a
head too,
mild
like
concussion.
the
Hmm.
soft part on the side of your head. Yeah, that like smacked right there.
Right.
Yeah,
Wow, I'm sorry
what
that
was that
happened to
about?
you, but so I wanted to open a what I feel is a very not well known issue with the classified documents case against Donald Trump. And
The one from Mar-a-Lago, those ones, or
yes, yes.
okay.
So just for a little historical purpose, I was a cyber warfare operator in the military. I have a expert level cybersecurity certification. I have 2 master's degrees in my field. I'm almost finished my PhD. So I mean, I feel like I'm reasonably qualified to talk on the subject. But I think one thing that the media really failed to discuss during this time period when this was such a hot issue was when we hear the audio of him shuffle around paperwork and showing these classified documents to bystanders in the room. A lot of people don't realize the president is given multiple sources of reports and intelligence, typically on a daily or weekly basis. Excuse me, I'm sorry. The DoD has its own classification level, right? So you go confidential, secret, top secret, and then of course there's higher, with poly and all that. But the Nuclear Regulatory Commission has its own classification, and the NRC feeds the president its own kind of like intel report, basically. And for them to share that report with the president, they have to declassify it one level down
Okay.
for the president to be able to read it. That's how secret it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's our most secret secrets.
And how does that connect to the documents case then? For like the media?
Well, he was showing people those documents that had no clearance, no need to know.
Oh, so it's a bad thing that he did that?
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah,
I feel like
you're talking about the
in America right now, it's frowned upon to know anything anywhere about anything. So whether it's like, I don't know, doctors or even military, like the 4-star, the NSA, 4-star general getting fired is
right.
insane. And based off of
Totally.
conspiracy or whatever it might be, like there's no one more apolitical that I could think of that was still in the government other than I forget his name, but like he has his shit down. And that's NSA. I was trying to tell someone like that's big. Like if you're gonna do that with a conspiracy person and kick someone out of the NSA, that's insane. And the way they talked about the Signal group chat stuff, just like lying, the amount of lying about that, you know, it's not even. I just hate it. You know, it was a successful mission. You know, I drove home drunk. I made it. Why is it bad that I drove drunk? It's just like the technology today, like using Signal for the sensitive information and all the different channels. It's just, I feel like it's one of those things where you don't have the public get mad about it until some shit goes crazy, like until some really bad things happen. But yeah, I just feel like the hatred of experts right now in our dialogue about this stuff, very basic stuff that should be nonpartisan, is just really really bad.
Right. And I would implore anyone. I don't care what your political views are or not. My What I try to tell people is if you really want to know the levity of the crimes he was being charged with, go read from people who are in this field and are extremely familiar with it, right? So I hold a certification that I have to be honest when I speak about things like that, cybersecurity related classifications. I can't get on the phone with you and and say false things. Say I could lose my license over that. So when I learned that the president was showing NRC secrets, it really just I was like, wow.
Yeah, and the
tech
difference in
is
having classified documents of different sensitivity and hiding them enough to need a warrant or to need a raid to get the materials. Like they always compare it to Biden, and I heard that brought up with the Signal case. It's like Fox News saying, "Well, Biden hid documents." Well, Biden had some, Pence had some, but they gave them back right away. There was no issue. The issue with Trump is they kept them. They defied, a call to bring them back multiple times. And then it became a pertinent issue because intel does matter. Classifications do matter. And after Republicans spent millions of dollars talking to Hillary Clinton about her private email server, which had like 1/100th of the classified or the sensitive, when it comes to the severity of information on her email server, still not good, obviously. But like the outcry for that, and then the lack of care, the act of dismissal of the Signal issue, which just shows like complete stupid. It's so stupid too. It's stupid, dumb. It puts people in danger. All that stuff. Um, yeah, but I just don't. I don't understand the selective way people get mad at different things. I don't know. Everything being political is an issue, and I really just hope that we don't. There's not an attack on a lot of the great people that do protect this country, and calling them the deep state, and it does follow suit. And you don't have to comment on this. It really is a huge political topic, but any leader anywhere, like we see Marine Le Pen in France right now, saying the deep state came after her. We have Andrew Tate saying the deep state came after him. We have Russell Brand saying the deep state came after him. Known sexual assault doers, sexual abusers, very known. We have all these, like with Le Pen in France, we know for a fact she embezzled funds. We have the information to track this. The deep state's coming after me. If someone
right.
ever says the deep state's coming after me, I think the saying is, if you have the facts, talk about the facts of the case. If you don't have the facts, then talk about like the politics of the case, or talk about the information that you do have. If you have nothing at all, scream, yell, pound the table, say the deep state's coming after me. If someone ever says the deep state's coming after them, or if they attack a reporter when they ask a question rather than actually answering the question, or if they say, I have common sense instead of actually showing why they have common sense, you can't really. I would probably look further into that, further into that person. But yeah, it's really great to hear from someone who actually understands and actually has been able to work with this stuff. I feel like we need more people out there, um, giving some type of whatever's. I know there's some limitations to what everyone can talk about, obviously, when it comes to intel and cybersecurity and the military. But yeah, as much as we possibly can talk about this publicly, people need to understand that this stuff is serious and why it is so important.
Right. No, you brought up some excellent points, and because I really want your listeners to hear that I'm not trying to slight this just to Donald Trump. You're absolutely correct. I mean, with Biden having those classified documents in his garage, I mean, I was like, come on, man. Like, that's an easy one. Like, check those in before you left the White House, So yeah, I was equally disappointed with President Biden as well. So yeah, that's a serious issue. I mean, if a regular individual had classified documents in their garage, yeah, the feds would be there pretty quickly, wanting to know why it was there. So
Yeah, and then like the only
yeah,
reason the Trump one was escalated is because he refused. He refused to give them back. Biden gave them back right away. Pence gave them back right away. Not good. But if Trump would have given them back right away, they'd be held at the same level in my mind. But the active refusal
yeah,
and hiding the
yeah,
documents, hiding them, in like a bathroom, needing to be raided and saying, and then Trump is like, "Well, that was a witch hunt. They came after me, the deep state." It's like, bro, you were hiding these documents. They were asking
right,
for the documents
right.
back, and you were sharing them. Like you were sharing them to Australian billionaires and all this crazy stuff, and sharing our weapons intel and bragging about the weapons we're developing to private citizens of foreign countries. It's just crazy.
Right. So yeah, if you took Mar-a-Lago, if you threw every piece of evidence out the window, figuratively, right, and you only kept the fact that his attorney quit and left notes that he knew would be memorialized into record somewhere should tell you something, because lawyers just don't quit, especially a very wealthy customer. Let's just call them a customer, or whatever, or a excuse me. But yeah, I totally agree with you.
I
Uh,
I actually did not. They say about the left media, the liberal media. I did not know that. I did not know about these notes that were left. Notes as evidence of possible obstruction of justice, alleging that Trump attempted to involve his attorneys in concealing or destroying documents. Oh, it's so corrupt. It's so freaking corrupt. People don't even understand what the levels of corruption happening right now. Holy shit, dude. Oh, it's so
right. I
so
mean,
painful. And Doge, all of our
yeah.
information is in Beijing right now. All of our government.
Well, look, also, and this, my friend, I literally just, I used to live in Palm Beach. I worked on the island for just, we'll just say, another individual. But there was, gosh, when was it? It was the Secret Service or someone arrested a Chinese, a female Chinese spy trying to sneak into Mar-a-Lago. Do you remember that?
You know what? There's been so many cases of that. I heard about those situations,
I
but I don't know if I know about this one.
if I was in Vegas, I would put my money down on the Chinese sniffed or got wind that he may have had classified documents there, and they were trying to get someone in that might be able to see if that was true or not. If I was betting, if I was another country and I got that intel, that's exactly what I would do.
Well, you see the private investment into Starlink right now for Musk from China and Chinese investors is huge. That's his big cash cow, is Starlink. Tesla is giving him more active cash, but Starlink is the big one that can get government contracts and be a lot more expansive. And there's been huge Chinese investments there. Musk is very close to the government there. He has said that Tesla is reaffirming China's socialist values on multiple occasions. In order to work with their government, he needs to share information with them. The fact he's been able to go through our government agencies and like USAID, that being completely killed because there was like a gay parade somewhere for like $20,000, and they used that as justification and unilaterally took it away. And I think they decreased spending by 80%. And China right now is replacing our USAID programs. They're replicating them in Africa to expand their Belt and Road Initiative. And it's just like everything right now is giving China intel, giving China soft power, giving Russia hard power, perhaps more so than they had before. And I'm just like, I can't grasp the full scope of what's happening right now. But the way China moves very meticulously, I mean, Cash Patel is very invested in China as well, and Russia. Um, they're all invested in this financially, and the cryptocurrencies that you cannot track is very scary as well. We just had the dignified transfer of those 4 soldiers that died in the training exercise in NATO, or for NATO in Lithuania. The Lithuanian president was there to see them off. Our president was not there. He skipped it to golf with the Saudis on his own golf course at a live golf tournament, to watch a golf tournament instead of welcoming our fallen soldiers when they came back to our soil, which from a political
Right.
political perspective alone is insane. But the fact no one
Yeah, the optics
cares,
look bad.
the fact no one cares at all. He was at a golf tournament with the Saudis at his own property, and Biden got roasted for looking at his watch. And it's just like,
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, look, I, I served in the military for almost 10 years. Of course, my heart is with every single veteran, always. When I see these things, it breaks my heart. But I just want, I don't like double standards. Like, that's one thing in life that really bothers me. And I remember when there's no excuse for this, right? But President Obama saluted with the Marine with coffee in his hand. You remember that?
yeah.
And yeah, and Fox News went ape shit. what's Sean Hannity literally peed hot sauce out of his dick when that happened. He was so pissed. But this doesn't upset him. I mean, come on. I mean, even conservatives need to say, wow, that is like, it's such a double standard. It's angled where you fall off a cliff. Is that double standard?
Yeah, the politics of it too. I just feel like Republicans are very quick to jump to 13 soldiers dead in Afghanistan and the pullout, and I feel like that's number one, giving cover to George Bush for the situation that we're in these different areas of the world, but also it's a very difficult situation, and we probably should not play politics with their lives of the people that died. And also, there's never a conversation on the conditions in Afghanistan and Doha agreements and Taliban fighters being released and our troop number being reduced, us not having air superiority for a certain amount of time, the ANA not being involved, bypassing them to do all the negotiations with the Taliban. The way that Biden just gets blamed for that, when they were operating off of solid intel, and they had to delay it because the situation there when Biden took office was in such disarray and chaos with how Trump left it, and with the Taliban closing in with the Afghanistan government, they had to make a lot of tough decisions. And like the bomber on that day, according to their intel, they could not get an ID. I know they claimed they could, but according to the intel that we have at least released to the public, they could not get an ID. That it was any cause for concern. It was always gonna suck pulling out of Afghanistan if we did it. It's just like I just hate the politics played with it, because it's like there was a good effort made and the people making the plans were service members, and our military made the plans and they followed the available intel, and shit got messed up. It's Afghanistan. They tried pulling out and there's a collapsing government there that we were holding up. And I just hate to see the political angle of all this, because we could have a great conversation about the forces there. We did not have a death there for I think like 18 months before the pullout or something like that. Like what went wrong, why it went wrong, was the Doha agreement good or not? Like we could have a good conversation about that, but politics just kills everything. But yeah,
Right.
I want you to respond. Then I'm gonna go to one more caller for tonight. But yeah, thank you for calling in.
Yeah, thank you for your time, by the way. And I didn't even ask. Am I allowed to curse on here? I
Oh,
don't know
you're
what
good.
the
You're
rules.
good. As long as there's not any
Sorry, I'm
racial
a
slurs, I'll
military
let
guy,
people
man.
talk.
I'm just sorry about that.
No,
I don't
you're
want to take
you're
all your
good. You're
time.
good.
I appreciate it. Have a.
But yeah,
Is there
thank you
anything
for.
else, or I say
No,
good
I
night?
didn't know if you wanted to add anything at all to finish off.
I mean, I could talk for 3 hours on in this area, but I'll call another time. I appreciate your show, and everyone have a good night.
Yeah, thank you, man. Have a good night, man.
Well, all right, bye bye.
What a nice conversation. It's always good to have an intelligent conversation. Now, let's get back to the good conversations, the ones that matter, about the state of our union with the most intelligent callers of all time until the Jolah Talks Politics show. The last caller. Who is the final caller tonight? Who's the final one? Who is the final caller for tonight? Maybe no one. Maybe no one. Please drop a like, subscribe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Glimpsing into the void. Well, you could view Trump as the embodiment of narcissism, just wanting attention, selfishness. Every deadly sin put together really does make up Trump. Like every bad part of humanity is represented by Donald Trump. Every bad part of it. Yeah. There's nothing redeemable about him as a person. I mean, he could be what's it called? He could be charming. He could be a charming person. Very charming. But many manipulative, terrible people are charming in person. Love your subject time view. Yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. I have a lot of work travel coming up, so it's gonna be hard for me to stream on my usual schedule. But I am happy to see many of you still sticking around here. Yeah, I'll be traveling again from Sunday to Wednesday as well. I might try setting up my phone a couple times and just doing like going to scenic locations. I can stream from scenic locations a little bit, and we could just do little catch up streams every now and then when I'm traveling. People like Trump is why you can do this show. What? Trump has not invented anything or done anything for anyone. He wasn't even a billionaire. That's the craziest thing about Trump. He was never even a good businessman. Like the big thing he gets credit for, he was never even a good businessman. Like that never happened.
Call from
Matthew.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, pretty good. I was just wondering why y'all Democrats are hating on Trump. Because he's a billionaire, getting rid of all the corruption and bad shit that other billionaires is causing this country.
Well, he's given pardons to a bunch of corrupt companies that screwed people over. And all that kind of stuff.
Oh, like how?
So like for example, this one company defrauded investors. Another company sold fentanyl to kids, and he pardoned them because he's friends with them. I could try to find their names real quick. Trump pardons drug dealer. The one guy Trump pardoned just assaulted a children.
One. He's given. He's put terrorist organization with all these drug dealers that was fleeing into the country that Biden allowed, that was killing hundreds of thousands of American citizens, and you basically got rid of all the immigrants.
Hundreds of thousands of American citizens got killed by immigrants. Hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, by all the fentanyl that's fleeing into the country. You know, the cartel. Well, guess what? Those motherfuckers are sitting in the fucking prison right now, and what is that country that I can't fucking think of the damn name. They put a lot of illegal immigrants in this big ass prison that he's
El Salvador.
Yeah, El Salvador. Thank you.
So one thing I have for you is 90% of fentanyl in America is brought in by American citizens. 90%.
How is that? No, it's not 90%.
It is 90% according to U.S. Customs and Border Patrol.
The cartel is bringing fentanyl into this country.
American citizens bring fentanyl in more. 90% of it's brought in by American citizens. And if you care about drug overdoses, you should care about that, though.
I don't know where you get
U.S.
your facts
Customs
from,
and Border
but
Patrol.
that is
U.S.
wrong.
Customs and Border Patrol. It's not wrong. I'm right. I do this for. I study policy for a living. I know this stuff. I actually write papers on the opioid epidemic too. So this is my wheelhouse, brother.
Well, your facts are wrong.
Okay, have a good night. Fucking idiot. Oh my god. Oh my god, dude. So here you go. So there's a sentencing commission in America, United States Sentencing Commission. So these numbers are a little bit off, but 82% of fentanyl trafficking from men, okay, 40% Hispanic, 40% black, 20% white, average age 34, 87% were American citizens, 41% had no prior criminal history. Median age is 28. between 280 400 grams of fentanyl. Sentence increase for possessing a weapon, 30%. Top 6 districts for fentanyl trafficking offenses were Southern District of California, Arizona, Western District of Texas, Southern District of New York, District of Massachusetts, and Eastern District of Missouri. Some were not sentenced to prison. Some people do get involved in really corrupt dealings where they're like forced to work for a gang. So that does happen. It actually does happen. They get like into debt, and they have to pay the debt off, and their way to pay the debt off is to do this. But it does happen in that way too. So that's why you might not go to prison. I'm making that part up. It might be true. It does happen sometimes. I'm not sure what the main reason is though. Many such cases. Quit spreading misinformation. You're right. I should instead agree with you, because if I agree with you, then I say all facts, because to you, anything you agree with is fact, and anything you disagree with is not fact. You're a very simple-minded person, and I appreciate that about you. I appreciate you, buddy. Thank you. You're awesome. Thank you for the donations. Yeah, there you go. There you go, man. What do you do for a living? Oh, you don't want to know. I do YouTube for a living. Of course. Nice. Okay, wait a second. I'm gonna restart my YouTube Shorts again for fun, so you guys know what to do. The stream will be back up in a second. Just refresh my YouTube channel. I'm putting it right back up. Refresh my YouTube channel. I'm putting it right back up, okay? Refresh it. I'm putting the stream right back up. Yeah, I'll take another caller. All right, guys? You guys are being so amazing.